Welcome to Eat Well, Travel Often, a podcast about food, travel, the environment, mind, body, and spirit. I'm Melissa Goldberg, and over the course of my adult life, I've been focused on how to build an integrated community around food, health, wellness, and the environment. These are all related. Understanding these interrelationships helps us look at life as a holistic system and teaches us how to connect with each other to create a loving and thriving community. On Eat Well, Travel Often, I talk to farmers, foragers, cookbook authors, doctors, scientists, and entrepreneurs. All have one thing in common. The people I speak with are trying to better everyone's lives through their work and passion. These are the people who inspire me to be a better person. I hope to share with you my curiosity from everything from book to plate. And the goal of these conversations are to inspire you to eat well and travel often. Today I'm speaking with not only two very talented people, but the nicest couple I know. I have known Tariq and Michelle Trotter for about 10 years. Our kids used to go to school together. You may not know Tariq by his given name. He's best known as Black Thought, the lead emcee for the Philadelphia-based hip-hop group The Roots, one of the best-known hip-hop bands of all time, and the house band for The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon. The Roots have been nominated for 14 Grammys and won 3, including Best R&B Album and Best R&B Vocal Performance. Michelle has been modeling since she was 14 years old and has appeared in numerous movies and television shows, including Sex and the City, Boomerang, Big Fat Liar, Something New, and more. For years, we have chatted together about food at school events, dinners together, and while they have picked up their produce at my food cooperative, Farm and Fork Society. When I launched this podcast, I knew I wanted to talk with Tariq and Michelle, but they are a very busy couple, and I couldn't lock them down. Well, the coronavirus did, and I was lucky enough to get an hour of time with them. Take a listen to our conversation about music, food, and more. Thank you guys for doing this. I've been waiting to interview you guys for years, but now I have a podcast to do it, so I have every reason to do it. So first off, how you guys doing?
We're doing good. We're doing really well, I think, considering.
We're doing really great.
How's the sheltering in place?
It's been good. Sheltering in place for us has been, we're always on the go. So it's been a bit of a wake-up call, but a wake-up call in a good way, like in that it sort of forced us to rely more upon one another and to, just really be in one another's company and spend more time as a family. I feel like it's a blessing. Like we're blessed enough to have like little nooks and crannies in the house where we don't have to be right up under one another all the time. So yeah, I feel like it's been good. It's been pretty perfect. I haven't really been working any less. I've just been working from home, which is also, been good. I've been productive and creative and ingenuitive and just having to sort of make the, this has been a glass half full situation.
And just piggybacking on what Tariq said, I feel like we needed this as a family. We needed this time to reconnect, and it's been sweet for us. And, it's been good to slow down. And for me, it's been good to get all of the stuff done that I've wanted to get done around the house. And, we have help with a bunch of things that maybe we didn't need help for. So going forward, I think we'll be able to re-examine some of the things that we do around here, and it's been good for us as a family.
Is everybody feeling well? I know, Michelle, the last time I saw you, you thought you had been exposed to the coronavirus and you were getting tested or waiting for results. Did you hear anything, or everybody well?
Well, we used Dr. Gedrick, and she sent us a protocol, and we also went with a homeopath that we use, and so we were using her remedies as well. Dr. Gedrick sent us the is it Sputnum? Is that what it is? Sputnum test, and we the LabCorp wouldn't take it, so no, we didn't get our testing done.
But you've all been well?
1,000 times better.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been well. We've all been well. Both Michelle and I have had a headache here and there. It was more so during the first month or so. But for the past week or two, I think we've both been fine. There may have been a day for each of us where we just had sort of a low level of energy and, just sort of needed to get our rest. But I think, that could be attributed to just the irregularity in our sleep schedule now, just like the change in the daily routine. But, I don't feel like either of us have been sick.
Well, I think that I was sick, and I think I did have it. I just think that I don't know what I had, if I had the corona or not, but I did not feel well for 3 weeks, and I had really bad headaches and nausea, and I was so tired. It wasn't like I just was, a little bit sleepy or whatever. I was exhausted for a couple of weeks, and now I feel like myself. I don't know what it was, but I definitely feel better, and I think that we're better, we're back to ourselves, whatever it was.
Oh, I'm glad.
So,
I'm glad.
So that being said,
you're all good.
Michelle had it. We're good. We're good now.
So your band, The Roots, Tariq, is the house band for Jimmy Fallon and The Tonight Show. What's it like doing the show from home?
It's fun doing the show from home. It is, we're a little more involved, having to work from home because, when we're in the building, the responsibility falls more upon the writers and the producers, the segment producers and stuff, to come up with material. But having to work from home, we're all sort of tasked with the job of coming up with content. So we have to be creative in a different way, and we're using different sort of creative muscles and stuff. And it's been good. It's been, so far so good. It's fun. And the show is still resonating with folks. It's resonating with folks in a different way. I feel like it's a more, it's more personal. It feels more personal, and it's touching people in a different way than I would if we were still doing the show from a studio with the studio audience, or even if we were doing it without an audience. I feel like the fact that we're all at home too, and sort of rallying together to still provide this platform and this outlet, this escape for the viewer, it feels like it's more inclusive. We're all in this together sort of vibe.
I was watching the other night, and it was so funny with Jimmy had his two girls on side of him, and they were just doing their stuff. So they're in the kitchen doing their stuff, so you could see his house. And then you guys all got together and did a fun thing with bad songs.
The what was that? It was songs that you didn't want to hear.
Do not play.
Do not play.
Right. Do not play these songs. Yeah.
So now the world, basically has stopped. How is the music industry adjusting? Do you see what's going on with your friends in the industry? Everybody's doing a Facebook concert.
Yeah, I think everyone is having to become more self-sufficient, and just to rely less upon the outside world for to receive whatever their art is. I feel like not only musicians, just all artists that I sort of know are having to find new ways to sort of get their art to the people and to connect with their audience. But this is good. I feel like it's good. It's an exercise in self-sufficiency and yeah, I feel like once we're on the other side of this, some of the skills and some of the resources that we're sort of utilizing now will probably become mainstays, and it's the sort of thing that we'll be able to add to the repertoire moving forward. So yeah, it's good. Like the Roots, we've been doing. We've always wanted to do. We've always wanted to build out our YouTube page to look more like a channel. So, original programming from all the different.
Is that what you're working on now?
Stuff like that. So that's what we've been doing. We've been building out the Roots YouTube page has become Roots TV, and it's been really well received. I've been doing interviews. I wouldn't call it a podcast, but I've been interviewing folks, having conversations with people who I have a great deal of love and respect for. And, Questlove, he's already, for the past couple of years, had his official podcast. So he's still been doing that. And he's been doing live DJ sets. I did the first home edition of NPR's Tiny Desk. And James Poyser, Kirk Douglas, Stro Elliott, a lot of the other guys who are members in the Roots have sort of found their groove and been, either telling stories or doing master classes or, just contributing content to Roots TV in some way, shape, or form. So it's been good. It's been good for us. And I think, had it not been for this situation, we would all have been too busy to really build it out in the way that we have.
That's awesome. What do you think is going to happen to the live music in the future? Are people going to go to concerts? Do you think we're going to get back to that? I mean, that was one of my favorite things to do in the summer is go to festivals and see live music.
I really hope we're going to get back to it. I feel like if and when we do, there'll be a different level of appreciation for, that sort of interaction. I feel like, the festival scene and, just human interaction, we've just taken for granted that it's something that sort of has always been there and that it was something that would always be there. And I feel like now, especially for people who live alone and who have been dealing with this at home alone without any other human contact, the value, the currency of an embrace, of a handshake, of, a public gathering. It's just gonna, there's a different level of gravitas and, moving forward, I think there'll be a different sort of appreciation for that when we get back to it. We're definitely getting back to it. I got stuff to do.
You got the Roots picnic.
Yeah, we got the Roots picnic. I've got very many concerts and some musical theater stuff and all that whole thing that I need a real audience for.
Right.
But we'll where there's a will, there's a way. In the event that it takes a lot longer than initially projected for us to get back to that level of interaction, I think we'll make do and we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And you're going to start seeing, again, people just being, ingenuitive in a different way, where necessity continues to be, the mother of all invention. And we'll invent ways to interact and we'll invent, new avenues, new sort of arteries through which to get our art and to get, this entertainment and this content and just information to the people.
Right. So, Michelle, you now have Tariq at home. And I was just saying this to Lewis, that I like having everybody home. It's nice. We're sitting down at dinners, we're communicating, and Tariq travels a lot. So how has it been? I mean, I bet you the kids love it and you all can be together.
I love it. I think it's been really good for us, and healing as a family to be together. But, Tariq and I got together, I feel like, later in life. And I feel like we're both used to, I'm an only child, so I'm used to my time and he's used to his time creating. And so, going back to what he said about having little nooks and stuff, I feel like our family is kind of used to operating in that, but we definitely are enjoying, family time and game time and dinners together and being connected in that way. It's been good.
It's probably the most that you guys have been together
for a period of time. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's for us too. I mean, except for a vacation, which is a week. Now it's what are we on, week 5 now?
Yeah.
Maybe 6. So, Tariq.
I'm so appreciative.
I was saying, I'm going to be lonely when everybody starts school again and goes back to work.
Yeah, it's sweet. I do feel... I'm so thankful that we're able to be together and have this time and be in a space that's safe. And I have a lot of gratitude for our life.
And gratitude is very important right now because you always have to look for the positive.
Oh,
right.
Tariq, you've worked with one of the best freestylers in the world, Lin-Manuel Miranda, and you helped produce the Hamilton mixtape. Can you talk about that?
Yeah. We executive produced. When I say we, the Roots, collectively, we executive produced 2 bodies of work that were released in conjunction with the Broadway musical Hamilton. We did the original cast recording, which is an album of songs as they appeared in the show, and as performed by the cast, the original cast. And then we did what was called the Hamilton mixtape, which was an album of songs inspired by the Broadway musical, and that were interpreted by different artists, other than the original cast. And both did really well. The millions of albums have been sold of each of those releases, and it's been a blessing. Lynn is one of the best, freestylers in the world, and he's been great to sort of work with. But the reason why he wanted to work with me, from early on, he's always looked up, and him and his whole, sort of Broadway musical theater crew have always had a great deal of respect for what it is that we do and what it is that I do in the Roots, because he's one of the greatest, but me too.
Well, let's talk about Broadway and stuff. You have something coming out that's, we'll see if the world starts when you start. Can you talk about, you are working on a new show?
Yeah, I've been working on this show since for quite some time now. Originally, I started taking meetings about the possibilities of getting into musical theater and doing a musical. I think the day, or maybe a day or so before, Michelle and I went for the first time to the public theater to see Hamilton off Broadway. So, Hamilton has, become an international phenomenon at this point. And all that long time ago was the day that, we sort of began spitballing for the project that I've been working on. This project is called Black No More, and it is, it's a musical. It's set in Harlem in 1930, and it's an adaptation of a book of the same title. And it is, it's something I'm, as an idea that I thought would be rap. I thought we do a show, and the idea was for all the dialogue to be rapped almost in the way that Hamilton was. So we actually went to see Hamilton as a point of reference. And from that, this show has evolved into something different and something more traditional, yet untraditional, and just an unorthodox sort of approach to musical theater. It's written by John Ridley and myself, and I got to compose and arrange most of the music, and I'm acting in it, and it's a whole thing. But I think it's gonna be whenever we were scheduled to open on November 5th. Realistically might be top of 21 now, but I feel like whenever it comes out, whenever people are able to see it, it's gonna be super impactful, and it's gonna resonate with folks a lot.
When were you supposed to start rehearsals?
We were supposed to start rehearsals to open on August 31st, and we would rehearse, through September and October, and then open, like I said, that first week of November. So yeah, I don't know. Just as soon as we're able to get back to work, we'll start rehearsals. Broadway sort of shut down the second week of March, and it was in the middle of a workshop that we were doing, and it was like our final workshop that we had sort of called an audible, and decided to do one last workshop to make some changes in the script and to just address some notes that we had. And it was like a short workshop with no staging and no choreography, and just to sort of go through the material. And I guess we were going to do a reading on Saturday, and Broadway was shut down like Wednesday or Thursday. So, but that being said, the show is we're pretty far along in the development. We've had, over the past 3 years, we've had 3 or 4 workshops, the last of which was a 6-week workshop that culminated in a few days of showings. So at this point, I want to say maybe 1,200 people have seen the show, and we've gotten really good response.
Well, that's awesome. And, hopefully by August, Broadway will open up, and then you'll be back on your timeline.
Yeah.
So, well, this podcast is about food, so let's talk about food.
Really?
Yeah, but it's eat well, travel often, and food. I love food, so.
Questlove has a cookbook on the market, and he's very big into food. But one thing people don't know is you're a foodie. And in his cookbook, Mixtape Potluck, he writes about what an amazing cook you are. And you even have a recipe in there, the South Philly seafood stew. Can you talk about what food is? Because I know Michelle always tells me what an amazing cook you are. I don't know where our invite is. We've been waiting.
Well, I mean, for me, food has always, represented, family and fellowship, and the kitchen has always sort of been the heart of the home for me. So the way I show love and appreciation is through food and through my recipes and such. And with me, it's really been trial and error, more trial than error. But I figure I get my mind set on something that I want to taste, and I figure out the flavor profile, just the most organic, healthy ingredients that I could use to sort of reach that profile, and I put it together, and more often than not, it is a hit. But this is something that I've been doing, really for years. And Questlove and we've known each other since high school. I think I met him when I was about 14. So yeah, he's sort of been there for the entire evolution. And I've always been a foodie in that way.
Did you learn to cook on your own, or were you inspired by somebody?
I was inspired, I guess, by my grandmother. Spent a lot of time with my grandmother as a young person, and sometimes she would sell dinners, or she would do like a makeshift restaurant at home, and I would have to go and deliver platters to folks. So there was that. I baked a lot and sold baked goods as a young person. I hung around a soft pretzel factory in Philly when I was a young person, and I would, show up at the crack of dawn when the factory opened, and I would go and sell pretzels at school or out on the front porch or on the corner of our block. And from there, just as soon as I was able to, almost work legally in Philly, you had to be I think 14 to get like a work permit, that what we call working papers back then. And when I was around 13, I just started telling restaurants that I was 14 and that my working papers were sort of on the way. And I started working. So I've worked in very many restaurants, from ice cream shops to pizza places to, Greek restaurants, Italian spots, American fare, fast food joints, like what have you. And I've sort of done every job. I worked in hospitals in the, serving food and preparing food. And I've sort of, seen the job from food preparation to distribution to, just sort of every side of every part of the equation. And it's just given me a different appreciation, a different level of appreciation for all parties involved. So I spent a lot of time around food and working with food, and it's something that I don't know, I feel very at home. I'm in my comfort zone if I put on some music and I start to prepare some food. It's cathartic for me.
Michelle, do you guys all cook together with the kids, or is Tariq leading the way?
Tariq leads the way. I mean, for me, I don't love to cook at all, but I have, in our relationship, I've gotten more comfortable. And even in this time, I think I've embraced it a lot more during this quarantine. But Celia really likes to cook. And I think, pre-Tariq, I like to make baked goods and that kind of thing. But even the baked goods that I like to make, he's not a huge fan of German chocolate cake, or like my specialties were not his favorites. So I stopped making them, and I really didn't like to cook. It was more of something, I don't want to say it was expected, but Tariq really does like a home cooked meal. And, I grew up in New York really young and working and eating at restaurants, like not cooking. And my career was about staying thin and not eating, basically. So I never really had stuff in the fridge and stuff as a young adult. But in being with Tariq, I've had to cook more. And I think that I'm embracing it more. And I think I've become really I'm a pretty good cook now. Don't you think, Tariq?
Well, now that you guys are home together. Yeah. Well, now you guys are all home together. Are you cooking together?
Not together. I think we take turns. What has been taking place over the past 6 to 8 weeks or so is that Celia is able to, Celia, I mean, who Celia is, but for those who may be listening who don't know us personally, Celia is our 14-year-old daughter, and she's been full on, taking the responsibility from time to time to prepare a meal. So there have been, nights where the entire dinner was prepared by Celia. And she surprised us because she has her own idea of what to sort of prepare, and she rocks out with her own recipes. And they've been good. Like, there's nothing that she's made that hasn't been delicious. So
that's awesome.
She obviously gets that from me.
How about little Tariq? Is he a sous chef? Does he help at all?
He helps a little bit if Celia asks him to help, But Tariq, he really doesn't like to eat. He likes the idea of food. He likes, I think he enjoys, when someone is cooking. He enjoys the time in the kitchen, and he likes to come in and sort of check on what's going down. But once the food has been plated, it becomes really laborious for him, and it's hard. Like, he's always the first person served and the last person to leave the table. He could sit there, sometimes for an hour and a half, 2 hours, just to eat something that is, supposedly his favorite meal. He's like, "Hey, Tariq, we made all of your favorites." And he's like, "I don't want to eat it." And he'll sit there for, forever. He'll bring toys to the table, and it's hard for him to sort of stay focused on finishing the task at hand, Yeah,
well, that's little boys. Yeah. So, Tariq, is there one dish that you want to conquer and keep trying, or if you have a favorite dish that you like to cook?
I have very many favorites. I tend to work on something until I conquer it. So, most recently, what I wanted to conquer was the brick chicken. And for a while, I would prepare chicken in a skillet in the oven, sometimes on 400 degrees, sometimes most recently at 500 to 550 degrees, and just trying to figure out the best formula for sealing in the juices and for getting the skin crispy. And over time, because I also like to grill, just in the way that I prepare my a turkey or a larger size chicken, I've had to spatchcock the bird, and by cutting out the backbone and then just like lying it flat. And then I came to realize that that's the way that that's the whole concept behind brick chicken, is getting the chicken to cook as as flattened out as you can sort of get it, and it'll cook that much faster and more evenly. So I started trying to do brick chicken skillet on skillet, like by preparing the chicken for the first 5 minutes or so, breast side down, in a cast iron skillet with another cast iron skillet as the weight on top of it to sort of hold it down flat. And then I would let it finish in the oven. And then our oven conked out on us. So for the past 2 weeks, we haven't had an oven. And I've, been forced to sort of figure it out stovetop. And I think I got it. The last time I made it, it was excellent. I did it with, rosemary and garlic and just a little butter. My secret weapon over the past month or so has been Aleppo pepper, which is like a red pepper that's not super spicy, but it's just super flavorful. And it's a Middle Eastern spice. So I've been using the Aleppo pepper and a little black pepper, rosemary, and garlic. And though I went and bought the actual cast iron weight that people use to make brick chicken, it's not heavy enough, in my opinion, to flatten the chicken all the way out. So I cook it in a cast iron skillet with a cast iron skillet on top of that. And then I put the cast iron weight on top of the skillet. And it cooks, really quickly and evenly, and it's delicious, if I do say so myself. But now that I've conquered that, I've sort of moved on. And I've been, over the past week or so, just mastering my stovetop salmon game. And I've been, cooking salmon on top of the stove, again, in that skillet, and just, mastering sort of how to get both sides crispy without the salmon portion falling apart when you flip it, how to get it brown on top with the crispy skin. And I think I figured that one out too. So yeah, I study on something. I take notes where I may have, fallen short or made a mistake. And then the next time I make it, I adjust the recipe. And then once I got it to where, I feel like I've mastered it, I sort of move on. So, I don't know. Look, my favorite thing to make overall might be a pasta, some sort of spaghetti with like bolognese sauce, or, because there's so many variations of that. every time I make pasta, it's almost a different recipe. But I incorporate the same principles, and you can do it with with chicken and turkey, or with beef or veal or seafood, or the seafood stew recipe that appears in Questlove's cookbook is just another take on my my pasta sauce sort of recipe. I'm big on shallots and onion and leek and green onion, and that's my whole thing. I'm like a garlic, shallot, onion, sort of dude, and I try and incorporate that into whatever it is that I'm preparing, because those are my favorite flavors.
You said you take notes. Michelle and I had talked in the past, like creating a cookbook. Have you ever wanted to create a cookbook with all these recipes that you're creating?
I have. I've always wanted to do a cookbook, and that was always sort of one of my intentions. For a while, I tried to produce a show, a cooking TV show, where I had I was partnered up with a young man from Denver, and we were an odd couple, and we were working on a show that was called It's Weird, But It Works, where we paired just random recipes based on ingredients that don't sound like they should go together or would work together, but then they would work. And, we messed around with that for a while and shot some segments, and then the segments weren't as, though the food was good, I think there was something lost in our chemistry together. So I kind of just put that, no pun intended, put it on the back burner. And I don't know. I would love to do a cookbook, but it requires much effort. It took me forever to even write out that one recipe for Amir's thing. And, it was like, I think I was the last one to submit, because I told them what the ingredients were and how it sort of worked, but when it came down to putting it on paper, that's when it becomes more tedious for me. So I don't know. I like for things to happen as they should, and I like to listen to the universe. And even my approach to music, my creative approach in general, is to let the art create itself. So when it's time for the cookbook to evolve, I don't doubt that it'll appear.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. So one of the things I always ask people is, what's their favorite restaurant or favorite place to eat? And you're a Philly guy. Do you have a favorite spot that you like to go to in Philly, or a place that you walk in and they go, Tariq, we got your stuff? They know what you want.
I do. There are two places that are my two faves in Philly at the moment, and have been for the past, year to 2 years. There's a Lebanese restaurant called Samaya that I love. Soraya. That I love. Michelle and I love. We discovered about 2 years ago. And there's a restaurant. There's a comparable restaurant in Brooklyn. What's that one called? The Miss Addie.
I don't know. Addie's?
I can't remember the name, but there's we've been on this whole Middle Eastern sort of thing recently. That's how I actually discovered that spice, the Aleppo pepper, and discovered that was something that I enjoyed. But yeah, in Philly, it's that restaurant, Soraya, and then there's an Israeli restaurant called Zahav, Zahav, that is probably my my favorite restaurant. And a year or so ago, I think it was rated, the number one, if not, I think, the best restaurant in the country. So, when I go there, I don't order. I don't look at a menu. The chef comes out, and I just sort of let him do his thing, and he hasn't failed me yet. Michelle hasn't been able to make it there with me so far, but I've been there I think 3 times, just sort of with the boys.
now you guys are in New Jersey. Do you have a favorite here?
Yeah, we do. We have some favorites. What's our favorite restaurants in New Jersey?
We love to go to New York, but
we do have favorites in New Jersey too.
Huntley Tavern we go to a lot. We go to
we like Huntley Tavern in Summit.
Yeah, and what's the place in Montclair that we would go to a lot?
We like Laurel and Sage in Montclair. Michelle likes Roots Steakhouse. I like Roots Steakhouse, but not as much as Michelle, because when I go into Roots Steakhouse, they want me to take my hat off right away, like, it's affecting people's dinner or something. So that just irks me a little bit. But I mean, I guess, if you want a good steak, Roots is a good steakhouse. I love the name, but it's like, excuse me, you take your hat off? It's like, Jesus Christ, man.
So I've taken up a lot of your time. I have one ask, and you don't have to say yes or whatever, but you are one of the best freestyle MCs of all time. You want to do a little freestyling about food?
Oh, no thanks. That's where I draw the line. No, I'm you caught me I'm actually at a loss for words to freestyle right now. I'm just not in that headspace. But I don't know. Michelle will do something.
All right, Michelle, go for it. No.
I'm not a rapper. I wish I was. I wish I could give you something, Melissa.
That's okay. Do you, is there any other projects or anything that you want to mention before we finish up? Either of you.
We had our show. We had a show on AMC that we executive produced called "Songs That Shook," hip hop songs that shook America, and we're working on season 2 currently. It'll be available on some different streaming platforms, but it'll also be on our on Roots TV, on our YouTube channel, of which I spoke earlier. And even sooner than that, there's going to be, we did a wonderful performance not too long ago in Dallas with the Dallas Pop Orchestra, and with Shaka Khan and Erykah Badu and Robert Glasper and Bilal, and it was to celebrate the 20th anniversary of our album, Things Fall Apart. So we did that album in its entirety from end to beginning. And that performance, we're going to, though we live streamed it on the day, it's being reproduced. So we're able to present that on our YouTube channel as well. So yeah, that's what I would say is, just for any content, any and all content, Roots related, Black Stork, Questlove related, we're sort of, routing all of that traffic to YouTube and just requesting that people follow us on social media and subscribe to that.
Well, thank you. And you guys, I love you guys and I appreciate everything you're doing. And I'm so happy that you're all well and the kids are good. And hopefully soon we will get out of this house or our houses and we can see each other in person and be well.
I hope so too. We love you, Melissa. Thank you.
We so appreciate everything you do with the scene thing, everything. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thank you, Michelle and Tariq Trotter, for taking the time to speak with me. I love the two of you, and it was fun getting to chat with you. Once everything is back to normal, I look forward to enjoying dinner by Chef Trotter. To find out more about Tariq and Michelle Trotter and anything mentioned in this episode, please see the show notes at my website, www.eatwelltraveloften.net. You can reach me with any comments, recommendations, or reviews at melissa@eatwelltraveloften.net or on Instagram and Facebook, Eat Well Travel Often Podcast. Thank you, eat well, and hope to travel often soon.